Good evening. Who wins the league in your first season and then turns around and takes the mask off and says, "Hey, it's me, it's Brendan Rodgers. I'm back." It's not us. It may be Arne Slot, though, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. It is the American Scouser TV Thursday Night podcast. Ask for Tinnipet to the cool kids, which currently do not include the Liverpool manager. I'm joined by Brian tonight. It's the two fabulous baldies. How are you, Brian?
I'm surviving.
Surviving indeed. Let us look. We're just going to talk about three things today. What Arne Slot needs to change. We don't need to go over the game. There's no tactical analysis that would do that game any justice at all, because it was a bunch of teenagers and Chiesa. Also, a little bit about how he puts himself across in the press, at least now that the pressure is on him. There is a touch of Brendan Rodgers about him, maybe a tiny bit of the Roy Hodgsons as well. And then we'll look forward to the game against Villa on the weekend, maybe the next reiteration of a corner turned. Our karma is coming back to bite us in the ass after we laughed at Man United for all their turned corners for years. Maybe we should have kept them out shut. But nevertheless, a 3-0 loss against Crystal Palace, a player sent off, a bunch of teenagers, two embryos, and Chiesa and Endo doing his best impression of a central midfielder playing as a centre-back. But nevertheless, a different approach, played with a back three. Well, it ended up being a back five for most, because that's what happens when you're not adventurous. Four in midfield and one up front. Like, we've been calling for formation changes. I thought it looked fairly refreshing. I thought there was a lot more structure to what we were doing for at least until that goal went in. For a bunch of kids, players that never played with each other, they certainly seemed to know what they were about with the ball. But as always, defensive woes let us down yet again. But the decision to not put any real senior players on the bench is what Arne Slot is being criticised for a lot. We've been discussing Brian on the Discord, and it's been on other social media places. If Klopp was doing this, we wouldn't have barked so much. But Klopp has never had, I don't think, a 6 losses out of 7 games period of a season. I know he lost 4 in a row at one time that people keep bringing up, but he also lost 4 while he had to play Nat Phillips and Jordan Henderson as centre backs. If anybody wants to go back and look at the lineups, that was a real injury crisis. We didn't have an injury crisis. It wasn't that he was forced to play teenagers yesterday. He played them by choice in a bid to get the players fit and fresh for Aston Villa, even though I don't believe they all needed to be fit and fresh, and probably could have spared 1 or 2 players of the starters to be at least on the bench. Crystal Palace were good value for their money. Glasner's a very astute coach. He's very organised. But, the result is the result. I don't care about. I don't think we would, if we were doing well, if we were top of the league, we were swimming along and we played the teenagers and we lost the same way, I don't think anybody would care that much. But it's just another step in the malaise that is happening around the club right now, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think he tossed that game aside. I mean, honestly, I mean, that's the only thing you can really say about it. I mean, even in Discord, I think a lot of us came there and said we were in a situation where we really needed to come there to get a win, just to get a little bit of a better feel amongst the side. A little bit, hey, we got something out of this. We had that with Frankfurt the week before, like last week. But I think that right there by just really throwing these kids, and Palace put a pretty strong side out on top of that right there. I mean, you just basically threw these kids to the wolves. I mean, it was, and I'm not going to go criticize like a lot of these things. I mean, Nalo right there came there and got, he basically took the bait and came there and got sent off with the bait. And I think that, even with that, with Neone, I mean, Neone came there and went and just said, have a great match and all that. But again, these are kids. I mean, but we did know that one thing, that Calvin Ramsey does exist. I mean, that he is
and he's not bad. And he's not a bad player.
Yeah, he actually had a pretty fairly decent match. I mean, I know us on Thursday nights been talking about the ghost of Calvin Ramsey for about 3 years now. We finally got to see him play. He actually didn't play that bad. And so I can't over criticize these players out there because you had a hodgepodge bunch of players. Most academy players. Players out of position, coming there and playing against a strong Crystal Palace side who came in to win. And they did.
Now, before we kind of dissect the Arne Slot involvement, we're always interested in the youth players. We're always interested in seeing them do well, and we're always looking to see who the next gem from the academy is. But sometimes the hype doesn't match the substance. Do you think if we just talk about the game a little bit, was the evidence there that Trey Leone is never going to be a Liverpool level Premier League midfielder until he gets some sort of core strength in him? Because he was thrown about like a ragdoll, and I think it. I don't want to misinterpret when you say throwing the kids to the wolves. I think they need to have that kind of experience, but usually with experienced players around them to coach them through it. But he didn't look ready at all, did he? He looks miles off being a player in the Premier League on the physical level alone. And that affected his technical game as well, because he was just getting pushed around the place.
I mean, I agree totally right there. I mean, I think that he's a kid that definitely needs to go out on loan and go somewhere else right there to get some experience and get some more bulking up. I just don't know whether with his size and with the way he plays it there, I'm not sure whether this is the type of league right there that he's going to be able to accomplish. He had kind of like a Sosa kind of look to him right there, with that, kind of like a little sleek and and fast and all that. And Sosa never came there and made it with us, but then wound up going to Italy and having a great career. This may be the same path right there you have with Trey Leone right there. I mean, I think there's a definitely good player there, but I think he was basically bullied in the midfield. I mean, especially when you have the type of players right there, that Crystal Palace has in their midfield that have these nagging tackles and things like that, who could never get off, who can never go and get anything out of it right there. So yeah, I mean, really honestly, I think. And again, I'm not going to over criticize Leone. I think that it's just a point you get into your career when you're at 20, when you're almost, I think he's 21 now, I believe, or 22. You go to that point right there, you see either you sink or swim. I mean, and again, that's what I mean by throwing to the wolves right there. You go to a situation where you sink or swim. I think that there are players in there who actually who I wanted to see in there. I wanted to see Coney Doherty a little bit earlier. I mean, I wanted to see him actually make runs. I thought that there was some decent stuff in there. The players that are out there. I mean, but again, with the academy right there going against a strong squad, I think a lot of these academy players need to have that loan move that they desire.
And these, like for me, thinking, look at it, like the position he's playing in, he's never looked physically ready for it. But with the energy he has and the youth on his side, that maybe a player like him, certainly if it was a player I had at that, not at that level, maybe, but I'd be talking to them about maybe considering changing to fullback or something like that, where they're not in the hustle and bustle of the central midfield. Because we kind of remember, like, we have to remember when Steven Gerrard came on the scene, he was a man. He was a full-grown man at 12 years old almost. He could have played when he was 13 and bullied players. But one other thing was, it was good to see Rio. He scared the pants out of the Crystal Palace defenders, at least for that first 20-25 minutes. But his limitations as a 17-year-old were laid bare, really, weren't they? Kind of the halfway point. He's really a player that has a lot of talent, but it's better to manage his minutes right now, isn't it? It's not in terms of physical development or anything, but just like giving him a chance to have a positive impact and then not letting him stay on where it becomes a liability almost.
I mean, even the same thing goes say right there with both Gordon and with Morrison right there. They both got time, and I thought Morrison actually looked fairly decent. I mean, he's a pretty highly touted player that we stole from Manchester United right there when he was a kid. I mean, so I think that having him when he was actually like at U15, I think we came to one up taking him from them. So I think he had a good game. But Rio right there, Rio's a talent right there, and I think the you have to go. And I know I said before right there, even the past couple of weeks, that you have to nurture him to go there, and you don't want to overplay him. And I think that what sometimes happens, it burns players out and at an earlier age. But at the point right there we're right now, you might as well throw most anything you can right there just to kind of get some kind of consistency right there in the side. Because I think that right now that you're not going there and getting what you want, what the expectations were toward at the end of last season. And actually the first 5 matches of this season right there where you saw this side being fairly, comfortable. I mean, I can't say comfortable, but I say they were actually able to get across points. Right now, we can't buy a point.
I mean, we spent all of our money on the players that can't get us the points. That's why, yeah.
Yeah.
But two things I want to point out on a positive note. Number one, Chiesa was on fire. Like if you got that goal, I think the game may have changed. He probably would have still lost, but the impetus would have been with us. And Woodman, I thought, looked way more assured than Mamardashvili. I'd actually prefer to have him in goal the weekend than Mamardashvili if Becker is still out. But that was a positive at least, wasn't it? If something goes wrong with Mamardashvili, if he drops form, whatever form he has right now, but if he drops it completely, and I'm not convinced he has it in the first place. He's conceded 8 goals in 4 games or something like that. We want something a bit more special from our Liverpool goalkeeper. But I'd be, he's not. I don't think he's. I hate to say it, but I don't think he's Quiveen Kelleher as a number 2. But he's enough of a not Alisson Becker that I'd be quite happy for him to be the substitute right now, because Mamardashvili hasn't filled me with any real confidence that he's going to stand out. Becker is Becker. He's just fit and on form. He's the best keeper in the world. But Woodman, I thought he gave a good account of himself, didn't he?
Oh yeah, I mean, one thing that was a difference with it, and I've caught a lot of shit right there on Discord and also on other podcasts on here talking about Mamardashvili. I mean, again, right there, I think that, again, his ball distribution is terrible. I mean, I'm just going to be frank with that right there. And, I thought that Woodman right there distributed the ball a lot better. I thought he was he was able to keep there, get a long pass out right there to Rio, I think, at one point. I think he brought it up. There was a lot of things right here that you saw that are positives in there. Again, and also, his experience with playing in this country, and that's a big thing right there to come for a keeper right there to actually know how to do it. Because he's a firm championship. He played in the championship for a couple years. So again, right there, I'm not going to bash Marshall right there, but again, I just don't think that we have the type of players. And I said this even in Discord right there a couple nights ago. I'm okay with if you're going to play Mamardashvili, set up the actual defense right there to support him right there. But right now, you're not even setting up the defense to support him at all. You're still running. These players are still reeling to not have Alisson Becker back there. And again, that's and you can see that they're doing because they know that certain chemistry that you have between your center halves and your keeper right there. They know what each are going to do. Virgil, they don't know what Mamardashvili is going to do. They don't know. They don't anticipate, and I think that actually goes and hurts him at the same time. I think when you have a player that plays somewhat similar type of style right there, it helps you out a little bit more. Mamardashvili is a shot stopper. I said again, he is just like what Mignolet was. He was a shot stopper. That's it. His ball distribution is not good. I mean, it can be improved. I'm sorry, I won't say good, but it can be improved. And I think that this is coming into a country and with a side that doesn't play the same exact way that he plays right there. And I think, and you saw the writing kind of like last year with what Valencia did with Valencia. And I think those should have been alarm bells right there that went through and said, hey, okay, he played great with Georgia in the European and the Euros. But does that mean he's going to actually exemplify that same thing in the league? And right now, I'm not sold.
The Mignolet comparison is a good one because part of the problem for Brendan Rodgers was exactly that, is that he tried to play. I think we mentioned it last week. He tried to play that playing out from the back style, which was still fairly new in English football, and he was doing it quite well with Swansea. But he had Michel Vorm, who was a very good ball player with his feet. Mignolet wasn't, and then we had a defence that pushed up the press and a goalkeeper who stayed on his line. So there was acres of space between the goalkeeper and the back line, which we know painfully all too well from that Chelsea game, with the famous slip and all that. But it is a problem if you're going to play a certain way. The goalkeeper has to be taken into account. If the goalkeeper can't play that way, then you got to change the defense to suit that particular cloth. But that's what we want to talk about for the most part tonight. Is cutting your cloth to the fit. We've talked about all the tactical stuff for Arne Slot. We've talked about what changes we would suggest he may make. He did, to his credit, try and change a formation, but with the wrong set of players to do so with. It's all well and good doing a 5-4-1 with a bunch of teenagers. You're never going to play again in a competition you don't particularly want to be in. But doing it with the actual first teamers and seeing how that opens things up. Now, I made a point on the Discord just because it was highly coincidental. Brendan Rodgers resigns from Celtic on Monday or Tuesday or thereabouts. Martin O'Neill takes over as an interim manager, and the first thing he does is play Martin O'Neill football, which is we get the ball and we just get it forward. Don't worry about anything else. 4-0 against Falkirk. You may say it's just Falkirk, but Celtic have been dreadful this year. They're like way off the pace. They're not even second at this point in time. That's how badly they've been doing. And the Celtic fans and the Glasgow media and all that, it was a breath of fresh air. Gone were the side-to-side passes, playing into the midfielders, and then goes back to the goalkeeper and we start again. Everything was forward first, and the players felt excited about it. Is there a thing, like what does Arne Slot have to do? We keep saying things like, for me especially, change the pattern of play. It can't be side-to-side all the time. We have a player who is one of our greatest goal scorers who lives off through balls. He lives off being the man on the shoulder. So play him as the man on the shoulder. We have a highly fancied second top scorer from last season that we paid an enormous amount of money for, who also likes to play off the shoulder. So play him off the shoulder. We have two players who like to drop in Wirtz and Ekitike, who like to drop and make the play from there. And then one of them in Ekitike who likes to push forward with the ball at his feet and is very good at doing it. So do those things. Like what does Arne Slot have to do, short of getting his head out of his ass and stop trying to have this is what I was thinking about. It was kind of my whole idea was you can have a philosophy or you can have a strategy. And it's the philosophy coaches who are getting found out now, because they want to do whatever they want to do regardless of the circumstances. Whereas, like Martin O'Neill, he saw what players he had. He was like, right, we're just going to go forward. We've got the players to play direct. He had a strategy. Does Arne Slot need to stop being a philosophy coach and start being a strategy coach, do you think?
Absolutely, because both you and I hate tiki-taka. I mean, we both expressed that enough already right there, that I disdain for sideway passes and back passes and and trying to do these things that seems that we're having a modified version of. First of all, right there, scrap this formation. This formation doesn't work. I mean, the 4-2-3-1 does not work right now. We already seen right there it doesn't work. Mo Salah's not committed to doing this. It's not him. So go back to a 4-3-3. I mean, honestly, right there, and I'm not the biggest fan of 4-3-3. I'd rather go with a 4-4-2, like we talked about right there before, because I think it actually gives you more structure and on the pitch, and actually gives you more dimension, more width, and things like that. But if you know these players are used to playing a 4-3-3, take it back to what they're used to playing. I mean, and then build off of that right there. But one of the things right there you're having right there is, I don't know what the instructions are right there, but why are your double pivots both so high up in every match? And you can see that happen right there, where last year you could see where you had either McAllister made runs or Gravenberch made runs, not both of them making runs. And I think that you're seeing the problem right there is that is that both of them are making these runs. Both your fullbacks are making runs, and you're just leaving acres of space right there. And I think Allison would even have issues with going through at the moment right now with actually covering the goal with how much space we're leaving right there. So really, I agree with you. We need to go back to what these players are used to doing and work off of that right there. Then if you want to change the formation right there, do this after you're done with some of your key players that aren't there. That's it.
I mean, it's interesting though as well, because like we're talking about 4-4-2. With 4-4-2, the traditional like British, let's call it the traditional British 4-4-2 was still a thing. The central midfielders would actually understand what to do because that was built on like a piston-like motion almost. Like, you know, if Steven Gerrard goes forward, just for argument's sake, if Steven Gerrard goes forward, then Paul Scholes stays back, and then on the next attack, Paul Scholes stays forward, and we're not doing that. We're literally throwing the two double pivots into the attacking midfielder line, and it just seems, and this is what my criticism of Arne Slot is that's the coach's job. That's like a huge part of a coach's job. In fact, almost all of the coach's job. It's not wins and losses. That you could call that a manager's job, so to speak. But when you do like UEFA coaching courses and USSF coaching courses, your job when you go on the field is to have an objective to effect change in the players, so that when they start their training session and then end their training session, they've learned something in it. They've changed some pattern of behavior. And we don't seem to be doing that at all, do we? Like, I'm questioning what the hell we're doing in training. If we have a set piece weakness 1 week and it's still a weakness in week 2, and then it's still a weakness again in week 3, we're not working on it effectively enough if we're working on it at all. If our double pivot is both, or if they're both moving up at the same time, isn't that his job as a coach to go, okay, this entire session is going to be, by the end of this, the two double pivot players will understand who goes forward and who doesn't go forward. Even if it's like you're the 6, stay there. You're the 8, you can go forward, or balance it out if you're smart enough. But we're not seeing that, are we? There's literally no evidence that we're getting any coaching.
Nope, none whatsoever. Another thing I caught, that kind of got thrown at us right there is I think that we need a number 6. I think we need a real number 6 to go in there to actually go, instead of going to a double pivot right there, you need to have a number 6 and go into a midfield diamond. I think if you had a midfield diamond, I think that you probably have a little bit more success right there with the side, because then you can actually have your 6 drop back right there. As much as Calcedo costs, Calcedo's probably worth probably more money now right there, with his abilities that he could have in this side at the moment. But yeah, I mean, you're having so many things as far as like your players are actually just making constant runs, constant things right there where they're not actually being support. Why are we still getting beat by long throws? Why are we still getting beat with long free kicks? Why are these things still happening? I mean, week in, week out right there, we're seeing the same exact things happen right there. It's like, but we're not making any progress on doing it. I mean, what is the coaching staff doing in these training sessions? And I question that. Just like you said right there, what are we doing? I mean, if you're getting beat at these on long balls, why is this whole session on long balls? And even Arne Slot comes and says his press conference, hey, we're having problems covering long balls. Okay, do something about it. I mean, it's like don't talk about it. I mean, I get a lot of things like that all the time with there, where you have somebody will say, hey, we're having problems doing this. Okay, be proactive and fix it. We're not fixing it. We're getting beat the same shit every week. Every week we're getting the same thing happen to us.
Let's hopefully play a little bit of a game here. There we go. Let's see if this comes up. Now we talk about, look, I'm just going to show you, and let's assume Salah starts a game, because when he's fit, he should be starting a game. We want him to tour. We can talk so many hours about the effect of the passing of Jota has on Salah. They were partly incredibly close. But let's just kind of take him out of his headspace for now and just look at the technical quality of the player. And then let me just change one quick thing here, because let's just I believe Allison was seeing training, or at least doing some sort of warm up. So he may be close to coming back. But if we did something like that, let's see if we can make that. I cannot make that any bigger. But Salah, Isak, and Ekitike on the left as the front three. Wirtz and Szoboszlai is the 8. Gravenberch as the 6. Ibu and Van Dijk, although I'm not too convinced about Ibu at the moment. And then Frimpong and Robertson simply because Kerkez keeps having nightmares. Look, if you look at that straight off the bat, does it look more balanced than what we're doing? Does it look like there's more potential for connections between the players, or do you still see issues with that?
So I'm seeing triangles. I mean, that's what, that's the one thing right there, the mat that you always come there and look at right there of what type of triangles that you can make out of this whole entire system right there. And I see a lot of connectivity right there that you can have. But the problem right there you have to have is explaining to Gravenberch that he can't be making these runs up forward and leaving that back line up. So, I mean, that's a big problem with it. And I think that, I hate sadly to say right there, but we're missing also the distribution right there that we had off of our right back last year. That's another problem that we're having, that we're not getting that same ball. And I think that these players are still expecting these things to happen right there, and they're not happening right there. So you're in a flux basically right now with this side, where the things that they knew that they have potential to do, they don't have the outlets to do them. And I think that has to be something that has to be solved by the manager. And if it doesn't get solved by the manager, then it needs to be another manager. And I'm not saying right here that, hey, we got to go there and get rid of Slot. I know there's been a big freak out about people saying right there that on Discord and all that. But if a manager can't do that, can't accomplish these goals, I don't care whether you win the league or not. These are things right there that are basic functions. And if you're not getting through to players, you're not getting through to players. I mean, by going on, I know we're going to go there and talk eventually about press conferences, but, by going on there and actually casting blame instead of taking responsibility, it's a problem.
I mean, look, it's not that this is out of his control. Like if he had a horrendous injury crisis, like we talked about when Klopp lost 4 in a row when he was playing, I think at one point he was playing Henderson and Fabinho as the centre backs, in one of the games. You can make excuses a little bit, but a lot of this problem is it's in his own control, isn't it? That's the disappointing thing. He can win. He did great winning the league last year. It's not that we want him to go, but this is Liverpool Football Club. It's no different than Barcelona. It's no different than Real Madrid. Juventus just turfed their manager out there this week already. There's a certain stat. We won number 20 last year. The idea we talked about all preseason, I'm sure every other Liverpool podcast out there did the exact same thing. There's a chance to make a mark. There's a chance to set a marker down and get number 21 and reestablish Liverpool as one of the, if not the dominant forces in English football and European football. But we are so far off that right now. It does ultimately come down to the manager, doesn't it? We need to see him do something different.
Absolutely. I mean, and I get right there, even in the comments right there, that comes from.
Sorry. Ant Stick was just giving me nightmares there. I forgot about that one. Phillips. Come on, Ant. Come on.
But you know what? That picture right there with them all bruised up and scattered right there, you know what? Those guys were heroes, in my opinion, right there. Those guys came there and gave blood right there, and, for the side right there. So I'm good with Nat Phillips. Definitely good with, with Reese Williams for what they did, what they accomplished there and all that. But even going on a thing like, again, this goes back to right there. I get Jimbo's points and all that right there, but you have to go in there as a manager right there. You're giving these tools. And you can't tell me right there that he did not have some kind of say in what players that he wanted somewhere. You just don't get thrown players out there and say, hey, guess what? You're just going to get this player. You're going to get this player. He had to go there and sell his product to them right there for them to move over here. So you need to come back and go back to what your product was. I mean, what you sold them right there, of what they have they can do. So again, you have to go in there. This has to fall back on the manager, and he has to fix it. And if he can't fix it, then you know what happens.
I mean, we can sit here and talk about the Liverpool way and all that, and we can talk about FSG being very cautious owners, but it took them 8 games of the season to realise Brendan Rodgers wasn't going to do it. He may have changed his coaching staff.
Eight games too many.
Horrendously. Not nothing against Gary McAllister and Sean. I can't remember his last name now. I think it was another Irish name as well. But he ditched. He threw all of his coaches under the bus, and then 8 games in was like, okay, you're done. You're not doing it here. I think it was like what was it, like 3 wins, 3 draws, and a loss or something like that. 2 losses.
Should have been gone after that Stoke defeat.
Should have been gone after that. Realistically, but as much as they were sentimental enough, maybe to say, we'll give you one more season after 8 games. So no, it's not working. Klopp's available. We got to go and get our man now. So Slot is not protected, really, isn't it? Tradition and that with league win, it's as Joe Fagan would say, you get nothing for last year's medals, so you got to do it all over again. Do you think maybe Slot is overwhelmed by the bigness of Liverpool Football Club, the way Rodgers was from day one? He was really overwhelmed by Liverpool from day one. But do you think Slot is kind of understanding what real pressure is now? That Liverpool's not Feyenoord. You can lose maybe 2 or 3 games of Feyenoord, and you'll still be a hero. At Liverpool, questions are starting to get asked.
It's a lot more money here than it is at Feyenoord. So, I mean, it's money talks again right there. If you are Liverpool as a club is an investment right there. So if the investment's not happening right now, I can say for us at the moment, I don't see top 4. And it's realistic right there. Unless we are able to go past the next hump, I'd be very much to say right there that after if Villa, and I said early in the comments right there, it's going to be a tough match for us to go to play Madrid at home and then go play City. That's a tough ring of match. And Villa's it's not going to be a pushover right there. I mean, so again, you have to go in there and make these changes. You have to go in there and figure systems out. You need to go sit down and look at tape. You need to go in there and figure out what worked last year that you're not doing this year. You need to go sit players down right there and say, hey, time your runs between McAllister and Gravenberg. You need to go there and say, what is going on with McAllister? Why is he in the form that he's in? What's going on? What's gone wrong? And and I get the whole thing about, and I don't want to sound really harsh and cold and all that. I understand right there, when Joe took over there, and that's a big, big loss for a person that you see every day for 9 months, basically. That's your family. And for him to be also get lost in that type of thing right there. But in a way right there, you have to go out there and move on. You have to.
We had debates about statistics. Now, we like to wind Cosy up a little bit, but I just want to repeat these comments again. Waco, hopefully I've said that right. I'm sorry if I haven't. 153% of our matches since the start of February. Now, I would give a bit of leeway for the matches after we won the league, because it's natural, for players to drop off once the only trophy they can win is in their back pocket at that point. But since February, that's even more damning. And then this is the thing I keep harping on about: for all the possession we have, for all of the winning of the passes we have, 1 shot on target in the whole game at Anfield is ridiculous. And the only reason you only get 1 shot on target is because you're not getting into the attacking third enough. As admirable as playing the 5-4-1 was, it did become like it dropped back. You could see halfway. After the first goal went in, the back line started to drop off a little bit. The midfield had to drop off to match the back line, which left Chiesa isolated, and Chiesa started dropping in anyway because he's not a natural number 9. Mm-hmm. You would think it would become more defensive at least. Maybe we lose 1-0 and we're talking about a plucky performance by the young teenage lads, who held off Crystal Palace, but we were dreadful in moving the ball forward. But we aren't doing what you need to do to win games. You can't win. We could debate expected goals and shots on target. It really doesn't matter what one you use. The fact of the matter is you don't score goals without shots going towards the goal, and we don't get enough of them, do we?
No, I mean, but then it goes back to what we all talked about right there, like over the past couple of weeks right there. Okay, so we are actually passing the ball right there, but and we're actually moving forward, because you even saw the stat right there with, with our forward passes were like what, number 1 or number 2 in the league with forward passes. So we're actually doing it. We are basically allowing players to be isolated, which goes back to why we're not why we have the formation that we have, which is isolating your forward. So sides have figured this out. But I think it started with Bournemouth. I think really honestly right there, when Bournemouth saw how he played, I think it just kind of built off of that. I think then it went to Newcastle. I think it built off of all these things that happened over a progression right there, where sides were able to see exactly how we were playing, how we were doing, and how to stop us. And you know what? The low block kills us. We can't handle the low block. So all these things right there are happening to us. All these sides are man marking us. All these sides are causing our midfield problems. We're getting bossed in midfield almost every match right now, and this is coming from previous seasons right there where this never happened with us. So we're seeing all these constant trends, and it goes through right there. What's the problem? What's the overall issue? Okay, we're not going through, and we don't even have a press anymore. I mean, I don't remember the last time we actually pressed. I honestly don't. I mean, it's like even last year, even with a slot last year, we had a semi-press right there where it was a more organized and structured right there. It wasn't Klotz Geigen pressing, but it was still the point right there where you actually force the ball in the upper third of the pitch. We don't even see that anymore right there. We're basically going there and just making runs and not doing anything. So again, I don't know. I mean, these are things right there the manager has to go out there and go and has to deep dive and figure out what is the sudden drop off from last year to this year.
Well, look, it's interesting on the man market thing, because we talked last year, and I was very emphatic about when we played PSG, even though we won 1-0 in their place. If you remember, I said that was one of the best. That was probably the best team we were going to play all season, because their movement was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Our midfield is very static. That's the only way you break man marking, is to stop being in your position and start moving them around. Like there was a thing on one of the Liverpool Facebook fan pages, like kind of talking about 77 and Kevin Keegan and stuff like that. And like, the impact he had on the European Cup final that year. And the impact he had was that Bertie Vogts was a man marking him. And Bertie Vogts was a centre-half or a sweeper. So Kevin Keegan figured that out. I remember him saying in an interview, he figured out that everywhere he went, Bertie Vogts went. So he went to the halfway line and stayed there and opened up all that space for Liverpool to attack into. And we don't seem to do anything. If the players aren't intelligent enough to consider it, the coach has to be, doesn't he? He has to change something where our opponents can't see our weaknesses immediately before we've even kicked the ball, before we've even got onto the pitch for the warm-up. It seems like other teams know exactly how to hurt us, and he doesn't seem to be doing anything to mitigate that, doesn't he? And he needs to change something.
Yeah, but I mean, again, if you're constantly playing a high line every match right there, eventually right there, people know how to break the high line down. They just play long balls over top of it and move on. And that's what we've seen every week. Brentford did it to us. Brentford easily did it to us. That score that we got that we had against Brentford was flattering. It was flattering to us right there, because we really, honestly, Brentford probably should have been up by like probably 4 in the first half. I mean, with how they were playing. Again, right there, if you do the same thing over and over again and it doesn't work, then that's a problem. That's a problem. I mean, this isn't just football. This is any sport out there throughout the whole thing. If you go in there and actually play the same exact way and you're not getting results, but you continue to play the same exact way, you've lost the plot.
Now, after the game, we move on to kind of away from the field side of things. Now, I had a thought. I sometimes have thoughts. Occasionally, the two brain cells in the head they collide in the Heisenberg principle. They collide randomly, and they get an idea. But I used to think that I kind of admired Brendan Rodgers when he was at Swansea, for sure. His commitment to trying to play good football in an era where good football wasn't necessarily the thing people wanted to do. Like, we're talking about in the media, Tony Pulis and Sam Allardyce coming out and saying, well, hey, everybody called us unfashionable Now they're all doing the things we did, and I agree with them. I never condemned coaches for playing the way they had to play for the players they had. But for a club like Swansea to try and play out from the back, and for Brendan Rodgers to be such a kind of pioneer for that, or a supporter of that, it was very brave. So, I was a bit of a fan of his before he got to Liverpool. But see if you agree, and anybody in the comments, see if you agree. If Brendan Rodgers was a hell of a lot smarter with the press, he wouldn't have lost the Liverpool fans so quickly. But he kept coming out and almost patronising the Liverpool fans as if he was smarter than everybody. With his phrases about, kind of the idea that, we're going to get there. We showed a lot of character. We've passed the team to death. We just need to convert the goals, etc., etc. When we saw all of the passes were between Daniel Agger and, Colo Touré or something like that, or Sacco and Colo Touré. Well, that's not true. Colo Touré got the ball forward. Lovren, yeah. But he tried to come across as if he was smarter than everybody else, and we just didn't know what we were talking about. But if he was a lot more like Klopp, because Klopp would come out and say, well, that was crap. Sorry about that. We have to work a bit more on the training ground. Or if we played well and Arsenal, well, that's just football. We'll go back into training, we'll work on it again, and we'll come back next week. And then inevitably we will come back next week and we trounce the other team. But he never hid. He was a genuine guy. He is a genuine guy, and that's why he's loved by the Liverpool fans. But you get the impression that Slot is heading more towards the Rodgers direction of things, isn't he? He's coming out with some statements which are almost insulting to the intelligence. We don't have 15 or 16 players available. We've got a full enough squad that we could have put a few of the starters on that bench last night. And he's saying he wasn't going to change his opinion about whether he should have played the teenagers or not. It's okay to come out and say, you know what, we tried something. It didn't quite work out. I'm really sorry. I wish we played better. And I apologize to the fans who walked out, who had enough at that point, or this run is not good. I'm really sorry. I promise you, we're trying to do our best on the training ground, but we're just not, something's just not clicking, but we're not going to stop working until something that says to the fans, it's all about you guys. You guys keep us going, and that's what we're going to do. But to try and fob us off almost, and fob the media off with kind of patronizing statements and statements that can be easily disproven. He's walking down a wrong road from a PR perspective, isn't he?
He's going to lose us. He's going to lose us really quick by going there not thinking that we don't understand the players that you have available. And you also right there is, and I mean, I'm guilty sometimes right there of saying right there, okay, yeah, it's just the League Cup right there, that we have bigger things to go after and stuff like that. Right now, we don't. We didn't right there. We don't. We still don't right there. You need to go out there and get your side back in the form. The only way you can do this right there is to actually go and actually play these players and get them back in the form. I mean, that right there, what I saw yesterday, I really don't want to see that again. I mean, again, and I don't know how you're going to actually sell future talent, this club by that. Honestly, I mean, I would think right there. I mean, if I was an academy player right there and I was under 18 right there, I would probably be questioning where we're at the moment. I mean, if this is the best option for me at the moment right now. I mean, to go through this right there, because again, I feel like that you have 15, 16 players available to you, but these players right there are in poor form. Why aren't you playing them? Why aren't you playing McAllister? McAllister needs to play. Why aren't you playing Mo? Why don't you go there and putting a 4-3-3 in there? Why don't you go there and doing these things right there? Like I said right there, why are you not going there and making these moves right there? Why are you putting Andy Robertson as a center half? Why are you doing this right there? These are the questions you have to do. Yeah, it was good you put Calvin Ramsey out there, but I would have put Nallo out there the whole entire match right there. If you're going to come out there and play a player in a position right there that they naturally play Nallo the whole match. Don't put Andy Robertson in there or put Andy Robertson in his natural position. There's things right there that it's like Brendan Rodgers did this whole thing right there where he had tinkered with stuff like that. And it's like, put players here, put players there, and then and then go there and then go back and say, well, you know what, it just didn't work out. And that's what I'm seeing right now. I'm seeing the same thing. I'm seeing like a repeat of like how after 13-14 and that 14-15 season, I'm seeing like this kind of thing happen again right there. I think 14-15 we had such a high right there because we lost it toward the end right there, with it, and we knew how good the side was. Went to the UEFA Cup right there, lost the UEFA Cup. So these are all things. Hey, we're making progress. We're doing these things and all that. But then this basically this next season, we just went off a cliff.
No, I'm just gonna say I wasn't against Andy Robertson playing there if we were going to play back three because as you've mentioned before, that's how it first started. Fullbacks out there, but that's not what we're talking about. What I want to point out is this great point here by Waco. When the manager instructs players to play against their strengths, he'll quickly lose the dressing room. And I've been getting the impression he's lost the dressing room a little bit, that they're not as convinced by what Slot has to say now that he's got his own head of steam. This is his team now. This is his tactics. This is not hybrid Klopp, hybrid Slot, which actually worked out really perfectly. If he just stuck with that, I think we'd be all happy. But he's trying to move towards the Arne Slot philosophy of football, which is it's not working. Klopp had. I loved Klopp's style of football. As I've mentioned so many times before, being Irish, I grew up with Jack Charlton, and that's how Jack Charlton played the game. A little bit more direct and a little bit more aerial than Klopp, but nevertheless, get into their faces, win the ball high up the field, and then go straight to goal, and then get what you can get out of it from there. Whereas Slot seems to be now what we're seeing, it's a lot more cerebral, isn't it? It's a lot more like Brendan Rodgers will. And I do believe there was a quote from one of his early training sessions when he first got to Liverpool, we'll kill them with passes. And when I heard that, I didn't hear that at the time, I heard that like recently. And I was like, that's exactly like death by football when Brendan Rodgers had his nice little press conference, which I loved at the time because I was coaching. So I loved listening to the professional coaches talking about their tactics on a more deeper level because we don't get enough of that in Anglo soccer. But like in Italy and Germany, they're all over that. But it just seemed to me like that's his focus. If we win 67% possession, if we have 750 passes, I get the impression he's quite happy. Even if we've lost the game, there's the kind of like a moral superiority about it. But he's a professional football manager, isn't he? Like he's getting a lot of money to win games. And it really doesn't matter how that comes about, does it?
I don't care about statistics about it, though. Again, right there, I'm not going to go in Kazi's level right there because I think that some statistics matter. But possession right there doesn't make a difference right there if you're not scoring goals. And I'll say that all day right there. I don't think it doesn't make a difference whether you hold 70% of the ball or 40% of the ball right there. If you're not scoring the goals, then there's a problem in there. It goes back to what you were saying right there with the comment that was made on there about not playing players to their strength. We're not playing Mo Salah to his strength. I mean, that's obvious right there. You are not getting Mo Salah to go track back to the halfway line and then go back forward right there. If you watch Mo Salah for years and years, he's never done that. That's not something he does, and you can tell the uncomfort zone about it with it. And again, that goes by playing Mo Salah as a right attacking midfielder. I mean, he's not a right attacking midfielder. He's a right wing. He's a right wing. He's our right forward, our right attacking forward. Yeah. So I mean, he's not that. So quit making players things that they're not. I mean, and that what there causes problem will ease a lot of issues. Again, communication, the left hand side. I'll swap over left hand side. Why do we still have a disconnect between Cody Gakpo and Kirkes? Why is there still a disconnect there? Right there, we are now right there into a third of the season right now, and we're still having disconnects right now with players. That shouldn't be happening right there. If that continues happening, if the players are on the same wavelength, you got to change something. So something has to change, and this is so now we're basically talking about the entire from midfield up needs to change somehow. And I think that's one of our big problems. yeah, we can go on days and days about Van Dijk and Konate right there, but again, if they don't have the support coming from their midfielders right there, and whatever they're told to do with making their runs, if you're told them to play a high line, then it's on the manager that you're playing a high line.
I want to get back to the communication thing, but I think as much as I think you're correct. But we said last year, we talked about the high line last year. The high line only works if you have pressure on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Because the pressure on the ball is what forces the bad long ball, which catches the players offside. But as you said earlier, if you don't have a press at all, and he's watching this, so he either doesn't know how to fix this, or he's seeing it and he's okay with it. They're the only two real logical options, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, agree totally right there. I mean, again, but if you. Again, this is early right there for slot right there, and I'm not going to go on the whole bandwagon of slot out and stuff like that because I think a manager can fix things right there, and I think that I want to have him the opportunity to fix this problem right there because it's the only right thing to do. It's a respectful thing to do for him for winning the league last year, for him to give that opportunity, and plus being a second year, this being his first year with his method, because I mean I think he basically played Klopp light last year for the most part right there. So this is his thing. But if he doesn't go in there but if we're getting persistent if he's being persistent with this, how he's going to play, and this is what we're going to do right there, and we're still seeing results come there and happen like this, then you have no other option. You have no option because again, to FSG, this is an investment. If you can't go there and make their investment right there is they have to get top four. They have to go there and make the money back that they came through. I mean, because we talked about this before, football's a business. I mean, so like that. So if you're not capable of going there and making that step right there, you have to go there and FSG's going to do what they got to do to save face. And if it means that a manager goes, it means a manager goes right there. But again, it's their investment.
Now, I want to just, because I still want to talk, I mean, there's so much that we could talk about with Arne slot right now, but AR makes this point, the physicality has been heavily reduced in our starting 11s. Now, because for when I coached, I mostly coached youth players, kind of physical fitness and conditioning and all that wasn't as big a deal as technical and tactical training. But one thing I resisted it for so long, but one thing that I did kind of eventually figure out was that if you have intense, even if it's the end of a training session, if you put players through intense physical, like non-ball work, as we would say, like where they're maybe on the verge of puke, and but they're pushing themselves to that line and trying to get over that, like get through that wall, as the runners would say, it develops a hardiness to them. Under Klopp, that's pretty much all we did. It was just run through the brick wall every single training session. What do you mean we just played last night? We're doing more running tonight anyway. Benitez, I always loved the Paco Ayestaran's Paco Hill that he had built when they went there, where they had to do hill runs, which was unheard of in British football at the time, but builds up your legs. It causes you like that kind of physical pain that you only get from working out, which clearly I haven't felt in about 20, 30 years. But it develops that hardiness. So under Klopp, because we were doing so much painful physical training, the players, like when they hit the wall in the game, they were, okay, we'll get through it because we do this every day. I think Klopp is doing the typical Dutch thing where he's using the training games or whatever to build the fitness, and it's making our players, and I hate to say it in this way because it almost has chauvinistic tones, but they're very soft, aren't they? They're becoming very soft players.
Well, I mean, it ended with the lactose testing. I mean, that's when we actually what was famous for Klopp and all his thing right there was actually what you said, stress the hell out of their bodies right there. Then they understand right there, hey, when it happens, you can actually go through the pain. I mean, this is endurance training right there that you runners do. This endurance training right there that a lot of athletes do all the time right there. Yes, tapes are important, but also maintaining physical fitness right there, maintaining the endurance and the stamina to go there, actually make you through, to take you through an entire match without tiring, without being pushed over is important. And this league's tough. This is a tough-ass league. We all know this right there. I mean, this is a very physical league. This isn't like and I hate to say like Italy or a Spanish football right there, which is a more both more finesse type football leagues and all that. This isn't this football here. This is basically hard tackles going at you 150% right there. And I think that these players right there are not getting the proper prep work to deal with that.
Now, before we move on to the weekend's game, let's kind of end this section of the show on the communications issue. What does we talked about what Arne Slot maybe needs to change tactically for the results to change, but what does Arne Slot need to do to get the fans back on board? But in terms of communication, how does he have to come across? Because he's not coming across very well right now.
He has to go back to what he did last year. He has to go look about how he acted last year, how he has to humble himself. That's the first thing right there. You're to humble yourself and say, you know what, this is on me. This whole thing's on me. I'm going to fix it. That's number one right there. I will completely respect you right there if you come back and you say that to me and say, hey, you know what? I understand right there what's going on. We have to go out there and actually go through, and we have to fix it. Give me time. I will do this. Go to the fans. Be humble. Being Brendan Rodgers and humble.
Yeah, that's not the show we want to watch. From being Liverpool to being Brendan Rodgers, nobody wants to see that sequel. But looking ahead then, because he has a chance to put things right. Liverpool against Villa this weekend. I believe it is at Anfield, and I believe it's a game I get to watch for a change. Yay! It's going to be horrendous if he loses this, isn't it? There's no two ways about it. If he thinks the pressure's on now. But are we the late game? I think we're the late game,
yes.
aren't we? Yeah, if we're
1600. I think they're like a 4:00 game Eastern time.
Yeah, so what's that? That's 8:00, I think. Yeah, that's 8:00 over there. So by 10:00 Saturday night, going into the Sunday morning newspapers over there, Slot could be basically a dead man walking, couldn't he, if he doesn't get this right?
Yeah. I know that people are saying right there that FSG are not going to get rid of him, but what do you do? What do you do? Again, it goes back to it right there. I think if we don't get something out of this match right there, I think there's going to be problems easily. Again, like AR saying right there, Villa, Madrid, City. Those are right there are none of those matches going to be easy matches. And so again, right there, you have to get something out of the next. Even if we go there get something out of Villa right there, I think really depending on what our results are with Madrid at Anfield and with City, this could still be a problem for Slot.
Because it's a tough run of games if you're trying to change things around. But there should be no excuses, right? I'm not being harsh there. We won the league last year. He's gained players. I think he's the first Liverpool manager in a long, long time, probably going back to Kenny Dalglish, where he's actually gained high-priced players after a successful season. We always tend to go, oh, well, that was good. Let's see what we need next year. Let's spend anything. But he got. And I know everybody wants to say he's at least having some say in it, but it was very, very, very clear when he came on board originally that he's basically just going to say, yeah, that's a good player. And that's it. Like, he's not going to, they're going to buy players that they want to buy regardless of whether we saw that with Brendan Rodgers, to be fair. We saw that already last season with Chiesa, which we all know wasn't a slot signing. But in terms of this run of games, we can't give him room for excuses, can we? We can't say, oh, but it's Real Madrid. Oh, but it's Manchester City. He has to do something in these games to get people back on board, doesn't he? If we lose on the scoreboard, we lose on the scoreboard. But the performances at least have to show that he knows what he's doing, don't they? Regardless of anything else.
I need to see a fight. I need to see them fight. That's the biggest thing. I need to see them actually. I need to see blood on the pitch. I need to see them actually go there, actually go through and actually follow through with plays. I don't need to see the hang my head down stuff. And I saw that the past couple weeks. I've seen the hang. I've seen players argue with players. I've seen all these things right there, which makes you have problems. I've seen Van Dijk go out there and go and have problems with other players, which he's a captain and he rightfully should. But also go there and see it going back at Van Dijk at the same time. So there's no structure on the pitch, in either as formation or player or emotional or player wise. Right there, there's no structure, and then we need to see that right there happen again. I need to see a strong Liverpool squad all the way around right there. And right now, like AR said, there's no fight. We're not fighting for anything right there. We're just kind of going through the motions in a lot of ways. As soon as we let the early goal go through, I don't see an effort for us to go through and try to make it to try to alleviate that situation. We go sit back and we go there and we keep on doing the same plotting around, plugging the ball around, doing sideways things. We're not going there and trying to make momentum to go and score to equalize it there. And if we do, we shuffle again in the second half, and then we wait and see if we can do anything over again. It's just not happening right now again. But again, I just need to see a fight.
That is the thing, though, isn't it? I mean, the statistic is, I don't know whether it's true anymore, but it was at least true up till 2010. You're never more vulnerable than when a team's never more vulnerable than when they've just scored a goal. So, that's why you always, you frequently see, your team just scores a goal and then 5 minutes later they've conceded the equaliser because they're still high on the goal. And depending on the team they're playing, the fight is there, right? That's not that we're not accepting that. We're going to go get one back and even the game up again. But yeah, we don't see that, do we? If we concede that first goal, we're absolutely, okay, that's okay. Kanate, do you want the ball for a bit? Give it to Virgil for a bit as well, and then he'll give it back to me, and then I'll give it back to you. Okay? It seems to be almost no pressure to win.
Yep.
And the more I'm talking, I really hate that I'm thinking this. The more I'm talking about this, the more I think he has to go because he should be on top of that already. Can you imagine Jurgen Klopp, Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho in his prime, even Rafa Benitez accepting the kind of level of performances we're getting out of these players when they go a goal down?
No, nope. I don't know, not at all.
I mean, I hate to think that way at all, but you want a manager to grab the team and shake them up. You want them to pick them up off the ground and go, "This is Liverpool Football Club. You'll do it the way I want you to do it, and you won't." I think it was Don Revie said to Leeds when they lost the league when Derby won the league in '72, and they lost, they won that by a point. I think the famous story is Clough and the Derby team were on the beach. Liverpool drew a game and that locked Liverpool out, and then Leeds lost, I think, on the last day. And Don Revie pulled all of the Leeds players into the dressing room and said, "Right, next year you're going to sweat blood. You're going to cry and you're going to feel pain you've never felt before, but we're going to be league champions next year." And I think it may have happened. I might got my years wrong, but that's a famous thing he said. You don't get the impression Slot's doing that, do you?
No, it seems like after we lost, and I think the players just kind of go about their business. I don't see the stress of players that have lost this many matches in a row. I don't see stress. I mean, and again, right there, I don't see them actually going and saying and doing it. I see right there, like one of the comments earlier, Robertson's talking about how we're not structured. You're seeing these kind of comments right there. Would you ever come there and see that in an Alex Ferguson side right there, having Paul Scholes or Ryan Giggs go there and say, "Yeah, we're not really organized and we're having problems with that." Do you know how quick that person would be freaking gone? Again, these are things right there that you have to come there and think about right there. If these are not coming there and doing it, you can't be a friend. And I think in a way right there, I think this is like a cozy relationship kind of thing you almost see right now. You need to have somebody right there with a damn iron fist sometimes right there. When you get to this point, it's all good to be good with everybody when you're actually winning and you're having these things right there. But when you go back into a point where you're losing this many matches right there, that's when you go there and basically go and say, "Hey, you know what? This is unacceptable." Throwing shit in the locker room, that type of stuff right there. I don't see this. I don't hear this. I hear quiet talk. And quiet talk We're done. We should be done with quiet talk.
I mean, like we might hear people talk about Bob Paisley. Like, Graham Souness called him an iron fist and a velvet glove, and he was a very quiet person. But Joe Fagan wasn't, and Ruben Bennett wasn't, and even Roy Evans wasn't when he wasn't the manager. So those players got like ripped out of it. As an ex-military man, I know you can't do it all the time because it burns people out. They just tune you out. But now and again, it has a major effect, and you kind of almost want in this Villa game, if something's not going the way you want it to go, you kind of want them to take the coat off and throw it on the ground and throw some F-bombs across the field to some players, don't you? And wake them up a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, there's times for positive reinforcement. There's times for going there and actually, for you to actually go and spell down what your expectations are and what results that you want to happen. And so then now we are at the point right there where there isn't a thing for positive reinforcement right now. There is no positive reinforcement. What's positive at the moment right now? You basically went from yourself being first in the league down to what we at 8th now in a matter of weeks. Yeah. So what's positive right there? This is the time to say, hey guys, pull your coattails, get your shit straight now. I mean, you're better than this. You are all professionals. You're not playing as professionals at the moment, right there. Get your ass in gear. I mean, and it goes to that point. A manager has to go out there, and a manager has to know when to be your friend and when to be when basically right there to be the bad dad that you don't want to have.
I mean, this is going to sound harsh, and I may get criticism for it, but is there a point where he has to be the ultimate bad cop and say, Joe, there was a loss, but you got to go on with life. You got to get over it at some point. If that indeed is weighing heavy on some of the players, is there a point where he has to say, if he has the stones to say it, to go, right, we can't do it. We're not going to bring him back. All the grieving in the world is not going to bring him back. But you're dishonoring him almost by wallowing in it. Like, he would want you to be winning the games. He would want you to be fighting like he fought for every single ball. And we all know Diogo Jota fought for every single. I mean, the smallest lad on the pitch out jumping the tallest defenders to win headed goals. Like, that guy did not know when to give up. But is there maybe, if that is part of the malaise, is it time maybe for Slot to go, it's an incredibly bad loss and you'll always remember him, but it's time to come back to the real world. Life is for the living, for want of a better phrase.
Absolutely. I mean, there's one thing with being alive and a human is that you're gonna face death. You're gonna face death. Somebody in your family's gonna die. Somebody close to you is going to die.
I do it in my toilet every time I have Taco Bell.
But I mean, again, you have to go out there and realize this right there. But the ultimate thing is right there. What the ultimate human thing is right there, that we have the ability to adapt and move on. You have to do that. You have to keep on moving. And it is kind of like by losing Jota was a big thing. It was a big thing for all of us. Everybody right there who's involved with this club right there. It was a big thing, for him to die in that tragic manner right there But you have to go out there to have the ability to put everything aside and say, I've dealt with this. I've mourned. I've done this. As a professional, I have to do my job. As a professional, you're not doing your job right now. So, again, right there, you have to go there. If you need a psychologist or you need something like that, and this is something that goes for everybody. This isn't for sport. This is for everybody right there. If you're feeling these things right there happening right there, you need to go talk to somebody. You need to go out there and get yourself straight. If you feel there's no ability right there for you to move on or for you to be a professional in any career that you're at right there, you need to go talk to somebody. You need to go out there and get that straight with you personal right there. And maybe that may be a time right there where you need to take yourself away from the situation right there. But these guys right there are getting paid, and I'll be harsh like you said right there, these guys are getting paid a lot of money right there. They are getting paid more money in a week right there than some people make in a year right there are making 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. They have to go there and be able to go and do this for all these people out there. These people actually, there are a lot of people right there who invest a lot of time right there in this club. I know we do. We invest a lot of us right there. I mean, by watching it, by looking at news, by doing this podcast. This is for us too at the same point right there, and again, you have to move on. You have to go to you have to move past the point of that in that exact stopping point right there, and then go past it and actually do your job.
Now, before we wrap up, we'll bring it back to the game where the players will be doing the job, but more importantly, the manager. Lineup wise, what do you see happening?
I hate to say it right there, but I think you're going to see the same thing. I hate to say it. I don't. What's that thing right there? You don't go. I was saying about spots right there. I think it's like the leopard doesn't shed spots. I forgot something like that right there. But again, he's going to do the same exact thing right there. I don't see his change in formation. Maybe change in players, but not a change in formation. This is what he does. I mean, we saw against Frankfurt right there where he went and did that 4-4-2, and all of us were ecstatic. Hey, guess what? Look at what we see right there. And you know what? We were fluid. We saw these things happen. We saw connections. We saw these things working and stuff like that. I just don't know what this if he's brave enough to do this. And I hate to say that about him right now. I don't think he's brave enough to change the situation. I hope that he has the ability to move past this formation, but this formation is a problem. And so I think putting players in positions that they don't play strong in is a problem.
So Antetokounmpo has Mamardashvili, Szoboszlai, Virgil, Konate, Kerkez. Yes, Szoboszlai back and right back. I mean, to be fair, he is our best right back right now. Gravenberch, if he's fit, Macka, Gakpo, Salah, Wirtz, and Ekitike. I mean, that's that. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it is, something like that, right? Nope. With the exception of maybe Gravenberch. I don't know what his fitness condition is like, but
I know he came internationally was in training right there, but I don't think he's ready yet.
So it would probably be Jones then, maybe in there.
Yep. I think more or less probably going to be Jones and McAllister right there in the back end as in your pivot. Probably, I agree with there. It's probably going to be going to be Kerkez since Robertson played in this and the middle of the season played against played yesterday. So I think you're going to have that. I think saying Konate and Van Dijk together. I can see Szoboszlai being on the right-hand side because I don't. I've lost trust in Bradley in a lot of situations, and I don't know how that would work anyway. Same top. I think that Isak right there still isn't all the way fit, so I think you're going to have Ekitike up there and then Cody on the left and Mo on the right, and Burks probably in
the middle. It sounds about right. But with a week's rest, I mean, we should be expecting a better energy from this performance, right? If we can't get a high energy performance after this run of games, can we start thinking that there's an issue between the players and the manager at that point?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the only other thing I can see right there, back to the lineup right there, I could see Szoboszlai going there and filling in where Gravenberch was at and having Bradley on that side. I could see that those two swapping out in there and basically telling. But again, McAllister and Szoboszlai are two forward-thinking players. So I think that runs into a problem. So I think Jones has to kind of be back there to actually control the game in that point. So I can see maybe Jones and Szoboszlai or, Jones and McAllister. But I think we said, I think Jones probably is definitely a player. But yeah, the players have to go in there and have to show that they care, that there's a communication with the manager right there and they can execute a match.
Give me a score prediction.
If they score in the first 5 minutes, not going to be good. I think that's one of the problems that we're having with right now is that we're getting scored in the first 5 minutes and we're never able to make it back. If we are able to come there and score first, I think that we have potential of doing like a 2-1 win. If they score first, I think it could be foot backwards. I think that they could have a 2-1 win on us.
Given the lower shots on target, the trend of decreasing amounts of shots on target. I'm going to say I think we could lose this 3-1. I think we might score, but I think they'll hit us early, and then we'll just get caught on the break a lot. That's the part. That's the sad thing, really, isn't it? That we're at this stage where we can't. Like last year, we were going slot special 2-0, slot special 2-0, and then tongue in cheek, maybe this is the week Macka gets his Nunes hat trick. That we were full of positivity, but I can't. So, like after those performances, I can't sit there and go, "Oh, we could win this 2-0." I don't see it.
So do you think if we lose if we lose this match by 3-1, 3-0, something like that, do you think this is probably going to be close to the end?
Yeah, I think the next two games, we'll maybe from FSG's point of view, but the rot sets in at that point. He loses the City in Madrid, and then they go, right, we can't. It's sad it didn't work out. Thanks for the league title, but we can't let this fall any further. I think that's what they did. They did that with Hodgson before they brought Kenny back in that time. I know they were only new to the game at that point, but nevertheless, they're pardon me, they're experienced sportsmen, if not experienced soccer at the time. They are now, but they knew enough to know, okay, this guy is having a negative effect. I think that's the problem. Slot seems to be right now having a net negative effect on the team. Through his stubbornness, through his tactics, through his press conferences, through how he manages the players. I don't know, combination of all of them. But he seems to be having a net negative effect. And I think at least John Henry is into his algorithms and his profits and losses and his debits and credits enough to know that there's a point where the share price falls too far and you can't save it. So you got to act early. So I think if we lose to Villa and then we don't get wins against City and Madrid, I think that then he's done after that.
How many points adrift are we of Arsenal at the moment?
Say again?
How many points adrift against are we on Arsenal at the moment?
I don't know. I think we're only like 4 or 5, maybe. I might be stupidly optimistic.
So we're
7 points. Thank you, Dicko.
If we are 13 points adrift, or I think if we are more than that right there, I think it's probably done.
Yeah, I think it's done. It'd be really sad. Like that's the thing. We're saying we're not slot out here on this podcast, that even though we have all the little arguments on Discord, which everybody should be a part of, as well as liking and subscribing on this channel. But you want to see him take charge. You want to see him turn this around. You want to see him step out in front and be a leader and go, okay, I've messed up, but we're going to change it from now on. Like, you can rest assured that even if we don't win, these players will bleed for the people in the ground. They will leave nothing on the field, and the ball will spend more time in their box than in our half. Just something like that, I think everybody gets back on board again, right? We can say crisis of confidence. He's over it. He knows what it's like now. So let's see what goes on. I just don't see it. He's a stubborn Dutch man. He's probably going to continue to do with Erik ten Hag, the same thing over and over and over, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's basically, I think everybody on all our podcasts right there basically saying the same thing right there. You're seeing the same consistent thing right there where he's not changing. And I think right now this is a point right there where you have to change. And I think and it's going to be a trial and tribulation for Slot himself right there to say, hey, guess what? I know I'm wrong. I have to do this, but we've all worked with Dutch.
Yes. Now, the only thing I'll say, kind of to end things tonight, on this note, is that this either makes or breaks him. Really, if he gets through this in a positive way, maybe we scrounge a result against Villa, maybe we scrounge one against Real Madrid, or at least we give a good account of ourselves in a highly entertaining draw, and maybe scrape something against City, because they're looking ominous, but they still got some weaknesses. Maybe we get to take advantage of that, and he comes out the other end fighting and swinging punches. That will literally be the making of him as a manager from then on. That's what I hope. But I don't know. I don't know whether the trend is there for that to happen.
And I know when you go there put new players in it, it's going to be a transition right there for these players to work together and stuff like that. But I at least want to see a fight, and that's the only thing right there. And I'm not seeing a fight, and that's my problem.
As one of my old managers said when I was a schoolboy player, you have to earn your right to play football.
Mm-hmm.
So go and break that player's legs, Macka. Which I never did, to be fair. So number one, thank you for everybody in the comments tonight. The comments were hopping. It was great to see. That's what we want to see every week. We can't answer every comment because, well, basically you keep putting them in thick and fast, and they're all very good. There's a lot of fantastic thoughts on the game from the people that were commenting tonight. Jimbo, Ant, and Bob, and AR as well. It's just that was a fantastic set of comments there, lads and possibly lasses. So we really appreciate that. But for everybody else, if you were watching and if you enjoyed it and you want to make sure you follow what's happening with us, then do this. Click on these link things. Follow us on YouTube and on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and X, formerly known as Twitter and Blue Sky and all the things. And then you'll know exactly when things are happening. I do believe we have a morning coffee tomorrow. I haven't heard anything different, but if you're not going into work at 5 a.m. every morning like myself and Brian usually have to do, and you have time to watch or listen to that, then do so tomorrow morning with Temujin and Cozzy, maybe, I think. But for everybody else, enjoy the weekend. Let's hope we have a good game to look forward to. It's nice and late for us over here on the Eastern Seaboard, so we could get some stuff done in the morning and then sit back in our Liverpool pajamas with our Michael Owen pillow and our Robbie Fowler coasters and enjoy the game. We will be back next week, and we will hopefully have something cheery to talk about between this game against Villa and then the Madrid game. I think is midweek as well, isn't it? So let's hope for some good things. But that's the main point of the news, as they say. We want Arne Slot to work this out. We want him to be successful. And the problem is the only person that can make that happen is Arne Slot. Peace out, everybody. Here's some funky music. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. And let's hope for 3 points on Saturday.